Hey everyone, and welcome to our first monthly new feature recap webinar. I'm really excited to do this webinar today, but before I get started, let's give everyone just a few more minutes, or just another minute to join in. Looks like we have a lot of people joining right now. While we wait, drop into the chat where are you calling in from. We'll love to see if we got anyone in Atlanta. Let's see. Okay, we got someone from Kansas. Awesome. Indianapolis, New York, British Columbia, Canada, Minnesota, New Mexico. Okay, all over. Hawaii. Wow, that sounds awesome. I would love to go to Hawaii sometime. Oh, UK, India. Okay, we're international. Awesome. So we'll give everyone a minute to hop in. Let's go ahead and get started. So let's first talk about what is the reason for this webinar, right? So a big thing Financial Sense loves to do is to constantly innovate the product and release new features to make the product, add new capabilities or improve existing capabilities. This is a core part of Financial Sense and what we do because we're a big believer in that firms, they have to invest in a workflow management platform or a practice management solution, right? They have to spend time evaluating, implementing and training their team and learning the product. And the last thing they want to do is after they get in a product, their team starts to use it and gets used to it. A few years down the road, they have to rip it out because it's outdated. And you've seen this in the past with a lot of solutions that were created back in the day. They stopped innovating and the product becomes obsolete and you have to change into a new tool. And it's a very painful process, right? And they want a tool that's going to grow with them, just like their firm grows and changes and improves. So a core value of Financial Sense is constantly obsessing over our customers and understanding how we can better solve your problems. And because of that, we're constantly releasing new features every week and every month. Now, it's a great thing to constantly innovate the product and make it better. But the challenge we have seen is since we're adding all these new features, it can be kind of hard for some of our customers to stay on top of the new updates and how they can use it in their practice and use those features to solve other problems in their firms. So we thought it would be great to have a monthly webinar where we can all get together and talk through the latest releases in the past month, how they can use them in the firm or how you can use it in your firm, but also get feedback on, hey, did we do it right? Is there other things that we can do to make it better and get your feedback along the way? So that's what we're going to be talking about in today's webinar. We're going to be doing these every single month on the first Wednesday of every single month. So if you've added this to your calendar, you should see future invites. Be sure to join in, ask questions, give us feedback as we go through this. But we're going to take these recordings, we're going to share them with our customers, we're going to put them on YouTube so you can always go back and watch them. Okay, so let's get started. So I'm going to share my screen. All right, perfect. Sorry. Can everyone see my screen? Just drop in the chat real quick. I want to confirm everyone can see what I'm looking at right now. Okay, perfect. Let's get started. So the first thing I want to talk about is a really cool feature that we recently released that makes it easier to manage your random one-time tasks on projects. So a big part of Financial Sense is the work recurs, right? You can set work to recur every week, every month, or on a custom schedule. And this is important because you guys have a lot of the same work you do every single week, month, quarter, year, and you don't want to have to recreate that work. That wastes your time. So let's say you have like this monthly bookkeeping project. You do this every month for your client, Adeline Collins. This month in particular, right, there's something special you have to do. It's a one-time ad hoc thing related to this work. So let's say ad hoc task, right? So like, let's say you add this task because you want it on the work for your team to actually do, so they don't forget about it. But the thing is, this work recurs and all changes will recur with it. you don't want this special one-time task to actually recur with the next recurrence in the project. So let's say this was for June, right? You wouldn't want it to recur into July's work because it's only related to June. What you can easily do is go into the task now and tell it not to recur with the project. So now when this project recurs, it's only going to keep these tasks and not bring this new task or one-time task with it. So you don't have to go in next month and delete it. This was commonly requested by a lot of our clients, which is why we added it, but it is a little hidden. So I definitely wanted to talk about that in today's webinar. So now you can do that to prevent those tasks from following forward. So we have a question. How can I add a task if the one-time task occurs after the project is closed and next recurring task hasn't loaded yet? So if the task recurs after the project is closed, I wouldn't add it on the project, right? Because when the project is closed, it's going to create that next recurrence. So what I would do is actually just create a one-time ad hoc task in the dashboard view, because it wouldn't work in this instance if you have to do it after you close the work. Okay, so let me delete this. So that's one of our cool new updates. Another big update is, which a lot of you have probably seen this, is on your workflow dashboard, you now can see your team chat and your client tasks status. So team chat, right? A big part of getting work done is collaborating with your team. And a lot of people use team chat to ask questions, share information, or even just share important notes related to the work. So before, you had to actually click into the work and click on the team chat tab to see if there was any updates or any new information or questions from your team, or look in your notifications, right? Well, now you can view the chat from this dashboard, so you never have to leave this view. So like, as you can see, I have, 15, a thread of 15, a conversation of 15 comments on this work. Instead of having to click into the work, and you can also see this red dot, which is something new also that we just released, indicates that there's a new comment, right? So I can click into it, see the conversation that my team had around the work without ever leaving the dashboard. Now that I've read it, right, that red dot disappears. So in this one, there's also an unread comment, right? So let me see what's going on here. Okay, Will says it looks good. We're good there. So the goal of this is to help improve collaboration with your team, right? A great thing about Financial Sins is all the conversations, everything related to the work is stored on the work. So you have your team has all the context they need to get their work done. But we want to give you better visibility and improve that collaboration and make it easier for your team. So now your team can actually view, drop in comments from this view. Maybe they learn something about this. Even though there's no comments on this task or this project, they can click here and ask a question. If they can tag someone on the team, post that comment. Now it's on that project without ever having to click in. Now, what's really cool too is you also have that for client tasks. So let's say, you use client task, which is a feature a lot of our firms use to request documentation or ask questions or get responses from clients. They don't want to chase them down, right? So you can automate that process in Financial Sense. So if you created a request list and sent it, you can track the status of that. So for this example, monthly bookkeeping, you can see 1 out of 3 of the request items from the client has been completed. You don't have to click in and click in the client tasks to actually see that like you do here, right? You can actually view the visibility here and then click here to see all those request items and see what the client has actually completed. Also, another big update that is also tied into this is this notification now. So now when a client drops a question, you can see that there's a new question here that has not been read. And when you view it, what the client has asked, that will now show as read. So you can stay on top of the most recent unread and read comments from your clients and make sure you don't miss any questions that are coming in from your clients on the request items. Any questions so far about those 2 updates? Okay. So next, I want to talk about client groups. So there was a few changes made to client groups. One is where they're displayed on the client's profile. So client groups used to be displayed over here on the right-hand side, right? Where you see all these other boxes. Now client groups are displayed up top here. So it's easier to manage and see which groups the clients are in. And you can manage the groups from here. Another big thing too is now when you import clients in a financial sense from a spreadsheet, you could specify the client groups on that spreadsheet to automatically categorize all your clients. Also, another big update related to client groups is that when you create a client manually, you can specify what group that client is in. So let's say I have a new client. I could select the group. So this is maybe a payroll client, right? From here, and then create that client. So it's already categorized. Now, one thing, there's a goal with this, right? One is it makes it easier to organize your client base, but there's going to be some really cool functionality that's coming that we're going to build around this new feature. So one thing in financial sense we're always focused on doing is automating the low admin tasks that your firm does. So you maybe as a solo firm can get more work done. You can buy back some of your freedom to spend more time with your family, or you can better scale your operations and prevent human error as you scale and delegate work to your team. So one of the places we really want to automate is work creation and folder creation. So let's say in this use case, you're adding a new client. How powerful would it be if when you added a new client, just from here, like you say, hey, new client, and you created that client, it would automatically create all the work for that client in the project view. And it would also create all the folders for that client in the document management system automatically. Drop it in the chat. I'm curious, do you guys think that would be valuable? To be able to auto create all the work and folders in the document management system as your team automatically adds new clients to the system, or even through an integration, right? If you're integrated with QuickBooks, you add a new client to QuickBooks, it creates that client in our system and it automatically creates the work for that client and the documents for that client. Okay, so this is how we're going to do it, right? Each client's different, right? You need to be able to specify the type of client to create the type of work. So let's say this new client was a bookkeeping client, right? So you find bookkeeping. We don't have that as a, okay. So like maybe it goes to your monthly bookkeeping group. So I select that. We could build an automation around when you create a client that is a monthly bookkeeping client based off the client groups, it will create an onboarding project for that client and all the monthly bookkeeping work for that client. Assign it to the specific team members and set the due dates. So now instead of having to create a client and then go to workflow, go to the templates, find your monthly bookkeeping project, right? Create that project, select that client you just created, pick the start dates and the due dates, who it is assigned to, set it up how to recur. It would happen automatically. You wouldn't have to do any of that. All you would have to do is hit create client, new client, select monthly bookkeeping, and it would do all those steps I just showed you. So you created this client, and now the work is just being displayed here automatically. The onboarding project for the new client and all the monthly bookkeeping work that you do for that client type. And it would also go into the client's folder and maybe set up all the folder structure for that client. So it would have the bookkeeping documents folder with all the months for the year. It would have, entity documents folder. It would have, if it was a tax client, tax documents folder. So all that would be done automatically by our system, so you wouldn't have to do any admin work. That's where we're going with the client groups. And how we're going to build some automation in the future. You'll be seeing that coming down the road in the next 2 to 3 months. So I'm just really excited about that because there's so much we can do around automation just to make your lives easier, make it easier to scale your firm. So we have some questions in the chat. Let's see. How can we sort the list of client groups so they're in a more usable order? So we don't have an ability to do that yet, but that is some really good feedback that we can add to our list for improvements to the client groups. Just some comments on that would be really efficient and powerful about the automations we talked about. Multiple groups to new client. Yes, so the thought is you can assign multiple groups and have that same effect. So like if we go to adding a new client, I think you can do that right now actually. So add manually, right? You could select multiple groups and it would have that same effect. So if let's say they're a bookkeeping and tax client, it would create all the bookkeeping and tax work, and it would create the bookkeeping and tax folder structure templates that you set up in our system. I'm really excited about that piece. I think because it's not even just by creating clients manually in our system. Think about from an integration. Maybe you're using Practice Ignition, right? For proposals. They sign that proposal in Practice Ignition, then it automatically creates that client in our system. And based off the service items in Ignition, like bookkeeping and tax, it's going to know, and then it's going to create the folder structure. It's going to first add them to those client groups, and it'll create the bookkeeping work, the bookkeeping folder structure, the tax work, and the tax folder structure, all from just that client signing the proposal in Ignition. You don't have to do anything in our system. Once they sign the Ignition proposal or another proposal system like Go Proposal, or there's in other ways like with Zapier, you could do it. It will automatically create all that work and folder structure. So essentially automating all those low admin tasks in your firm. Let's see. We are not planning to integrate with TaxStone. I'm not sure how we would be able to do that, Alex, but I would always be interested in, offline understanding how you could see that working so we could better understand how we can make that, create a better integration for your firm. We also use groups to send emails to specific client groups. We don't have the ability to mass email clients based off groups or just in general. It's something we think we might add in the future, but we haven't really scoped it out just yet. Okay, so that's some of the updates around client groups. Again, that last piece is not live yet with the automations, but that's something we're going to be working towards that we think could provide a lot of value for our firms that are looking to scale or just, buy back some time. And not only that, it also just prevents mistakes and human error, right? You don't want things to slip through the cracks, work that forgot to be created, right? Because, we forget things, we're human. Having it automated is powerful. So next, I want to talk about one of our newest integrations that's in beta testing. So if you want access to this, you can get access. You just need to reach out to our support team here and let us know. And what that integration is the Smart Vault integration. So if any of you guys use Smart Vault for portal or document management, you can integrate it with Financial Sense. So let's talk about some of those use cases, right? So we actually have some documentation where you can see this in action and read about it. So what can you do? So let's say you've integrated with Smart Vault. You can link all your clients from Smart Vault to Financial Sense, right? So your client bases are now in sync in both systems. You can access Smart Vault from Financial Sense, and you can automatically create clients in Smart Vault when clients are created in Financial Sense. So in this example, you can see here, you go into the client profile, you see Smart Vault. When you click that, it will automatically take you to that client's file and documents in Smart Vault in a single click. So I don't know if I have it set up here, but you can see here, yes. So all my integrations, I have QuickBooks Online, so I can actually open QuickBooks, right? If you want to open the QuickBooks file, or Smart Vault, where you can actually open the client's profile. I'm not logged into the Smart Vault, so I don't think this will work. It might take me so it's just taking me to the login page, but if I had a Smart Vault account and I was logged in, it would take me to that client's file in Smart Vault. So it's one click, easy access. So that's one of the things you can do with the integration. And the other piece is now, when let's say you add a new client in our system, it's automatically going to add that client to Smart Vault and create that folder structure in Smart Vault. Again, automating some of that admin work and keeping your two systems in sync. So if you use SmartVault, it's a very powerful integration. This is just the first version. We're going to be making a few improvements to it. It's in beta testing right now, but you can get access by reaching out to our support team, again, inside the app until we release it live for everyone. And then if you want to read more about it, again, there's documentation on our portal. Any questions about SmartVault, that integration, any ideas of how you want us to better integrate with SmartVault? Just drop them in the chat and I'll revisit them in a minute. So let's talk about our next integration, right? Our next integration is Zapier. So if you've ever used Zapier, basically what it allows you to do is integrate all your apps together. So now that we have a Zapier integration, you can integrate Financial Sense with over 5,000 different apps. So this is just the first. This Zapier is also in beta. You can get access to it if you reach out to our team, and we can help you get set up. So what are some of the things you can do right now with Zapier, right? So maybe when a client is created in Financial Sense, or maybe, so like one of the, here I created so we actually have some help documentation where you can see some examples, right? So maybe you want a client to be created in Financial Sense once a proposal is signed, right? You can do that. Or maybe when you add a client to Financial Sense, you want all your other apps in your tech stack to create that client. Or vice versa, if a client's added to another app in your tech stack, it creates that client in Financial Sense. Or maybe you want to create a folder in your document management system for that client once a client's added to Financial Sense. So these are just a few simple use cases. There's so much you can do with it. And in this guide, I actually walk through some use cases of how to actually set that up in Zapier for your other apps. So this walks you through exactly how to do it. So for example, once a proposal is signed, create a new client in Financial Sense. So you can, with Zapier, you can do that with Ignition, GoProposal, Anchor, Proposalify, Dubsado, Cognito Forms, Google Forms. So client fills out a form, creates the client in our system. Client signs a proposal in Ignition, GoProposal, Anchor, creates that client in Financial Sense automatically. Or once a new client is created in Financial Sense, it creates a new folder for that client in your document management system. Dropbox, Box, Google Drive, ShareFile, OneDrive, or sync clients with other apps in your tech stack. So you want to keep your clients in sync with Xero, 17 Hats, Listio, Keeper, LivePlan, Receipt Bank, HubDoc. These are some guides that you can use to actually go ahead and set that up now. So let me show you an example, right? So if we look at my Google Drive, right? Let me delete this one. So this is my clients folder on my Google Drive. I set up a Zapier. Let's see if we can find it. Where when a client is created in Financial Sense, it'll create a folder with that client name in Google Drive, right? So there's no folder yet. So let's test this out. So I'm going to create a new client. Test client in Financial Sense. So I've created this new client in Financial Sense. Now, because of my Zapier, it should create that client in my Google Drive. Boom, already happened. So now that I've created that client, that folder is now there. Let's do it again, right? So let's do another one. Test client 2. Created this new client. So what should happen now is, well, it looks like someone else is adding clients right now on the demo site. You can see here, test client 2 has been added. So as I add new clients, it's automatically creating these folders or clients in my other systems, which is very powerful, automating that admin work. There's so much you can do with it. This is just the first version of Zapier. The next step, which we're going to be releasing in the next few weeks, is the ability to create work with Zapier. So let's go to back here. So for example, sign proposal. Someone signs a proposal in Ignition. It will create that client in our system, create that work in our system for that client. So the bookkeeping work, the tax work, etc. You know, someone signs a Google form. fills out a Google form, it'll create the client and a project for that client in our system. So you can automate the work creation and client creation. And you can mix these all together, right? So maybe it's someone signs Ignition proposal, it creates that client, it creates that work, and it creates a folder in Dropbox or Google Drive. So again, it's just linking all your apps. It's very powerful. This is a very popular item we had on our roadmap. We're going to be making improvements to it. So one thing I'm going to do right now is I'm going to drop in a link. If you want to get this set up for your firm, but you just don't know how to use Zapier or where to get started, our support team will set it up for you. So I'm going to drop in a link here where, let's see, it's a calendar link where you can schedule time with our support team. To have them set that up for you. So real quick before I move on out of Zapier, I'm curious. Is there any other Zaps you guys would like to see, like updating client contact information? We talked about work creation. We talked about adding clients. Is there any other types of Zaps that you would like to see Financial Sense add to Zapier so you can better integrate it with your apps? Drop that in the chat so I can see that. Okay, so someone did ask a question of, could we replace SmartVault? That really depends on what are your firm's needs. So later in this webinar, after I talk about all the new features, I'm going to talk about some of the upcoming features. And we're going to be releasing folder sharing, where it's not going to be as robust as SmartVault. So if you just need something simple, it could potentially replace it. But if you want something more powerful, then SmartVault's always going to be better at document management and client portal. So when we release that, you may want to look at that new feature and see if it's a fit for you. So now let's go to our last and final update, which is our Open API. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with an Open API, but basically what it is it allows you to access our system and pull raw data from Financial Sense. So being a work management tool, we have lots of good data in our system. You know, when work is being completed, where time is being spent by your team on clients, we're budget, under budget. There's a lot of raw data you can use for really powerful reporting and maybe data that you might want in your other systems. So we've had a lot of firms request us to have an Open API so they can maybe hire a developer to pull data from our system, kind of like Zapier does, but on a more custom basis, and update Salesforce or like an internal reporting system that they built themselves, or a business intelligence tool, right? Or like Tableau or something. So we actually now have an Open API that you can use to pull a lot of this raw data from Financial Sense and update homegrown solutions, business intelligence tools, or other reporting tools, or even just like other systems like Salesforce and other outside of Zapier, right? Zapier is great to integrate all your apps, but it has limitations. If you need something more custom and like where you can really create custom reports, our Open API will let you do that. So like, for example, you know, you could do a lot of the same things with Zapier, like trigger projects to be created in Financial Sense based off a trigger another app, or in like a homegrown solution that you built, or a portal that maybe doesn't have a Zapier integration, doesn't integrate with Zapier. Trigger clients to be created, updated, or deleted in our system or in another system. You can send that a lot of data to customer reporting tools, business intelligence tools. These are just some of the basic things. If you want to see other data points with our Open API, we can also add them, and we're going to constantly be improving it over time, just like our Zapier integration. So if you have any other guys, drop that below. And just if you want to learn more about the Open API, just chat our support team. Let's see, there's another question. So there's a question. I would love to have client information updated across all platforms with Zapier, Ignition, Financial Sense, QBO. We currently use Google Forms for clients' information. So it'd be amazing if we can map those fields to the rest of our tech stack as the form has been completed. You can do that with Zapier. That's definitely possible. So let's say you have a Google form where they fill out, you know, client name, entity type, you know, year ends, EIN information, etc. you can use Zapier. We do have some limitations, but reach out to a support team. Let them know this is what you want, and we can do most of it now. But if there's other pieces, and we'll add it. But they'll set that up for you to where when that client fills out that Google form or a Cognito form or something, it will create that client. It will add in the EIN number. It will add in the LLC type or entity type. It will add in the year end and all that information from that form. So you don't have to go in and add it later. And then when it's created in Financial Sense, it can be created in QBO, it can be created in Ignition, or vice versa. So that's definitely possible with Zapier. And I would reach out through that link, schedule some time with our support team to help you set that up. Okay, so now that I've talked about a lot of the new features from this last month, let's talk about what's coming next, because this next month is going to be an exciting month. We've got a lot of amazing features. So the first big one, e-signatures. This has been wildly requested from a lot of our customers for a while now. So soon, you're going to be able to request e-signatures inside Financial Sense from your clients. So let's say like in client tasks, maybe you're requesting documents, maybe you want them to sign a document. You can request that e-signature here. And we're going to also be putting in other parts of the app. That's a big one. Folder sharing. So we talked about this earlier, right? So let me open something up real quick. Let's call it, okay, so sure. Okay, so folder sharing. So someone asked about, can it replace Smart Vault? I mean, if you need something simple, we could replace Smart Vault, we could replace Google Drive, Dropbox, all of that, right? Because we're going to be adding folder sharing soon. So for example, on the client's profile, we have all these documents. Hopefully this or next month, we should be releasing this feature, the ability to share these folders with your client. So let's say you want them to have access to all their bookkeeping documents and reports for every month. You could share this folder with the client, and then the client will be notified that you've shared that folder with them, and they'll be able to access it in their portal. So the design is going to change a little bit, but they'll basically over here have a sidebar where it says requests, which is the request, right? And documents. And they click that, they'll be able to see all the folders that you share with them. They'll be able to upload documents to those folders if you give them permission to do so. So it's like a place where they can see all their archived documents, not just the requests that are going on right now. Also, the documents that they need to sign that we talked about, the e-signatures, that's all going to be right here. So that's going to be very powerful. E-signatures and file/folder sharing should be available within the next 4 to 8 weeks. So we're really excited about that. We might see that on next month's webinar, actually. What else? This is going to be cool. So actually, real quick before I move on, what do you guys think of that? E-signatures, folder file sharing. Is that something you guys are excited about, that you can get value from? It's like Rachel, she's really excited. She said that was very colder. Really, really cool. The folder sharing, e-signatures. Yeah. Okay. We're getting some good feedback. I'm really excited about this feature. I think it's going to really kind of create that all-in-one platform a lot of people are looking for. Just document management, portal, work management, e-signature, all in one place, so you can manage it all together, and even save some money on some of your subscriptions, which is important. Okay, so let's now go back to the other piece. So 2 other things that we're working on that you should maybe see within the next 4 to 8 weeks. First is some more task automations. So I don't know if you know this, but you can set up automations on your tasks. Right now it's status or tag automations. So like if we go, like if you look here, right? When I complete this task, I have an automation where the status of the project is going to change. So it's going to go from in process to in review. See how it changed? So we did that because of an automation we have on the task. Here, when this task is completed, remove this tag and add this tag. So this is one simple automation we already have to keep the status of your work updated automatically and not have to depend on your clients. We're going to be adding some other automations here, right? So maybe when you complete this task, you can send a custom email automatically to the client. So the client may get an email, hey, we just completed your work, wanted to let you know it's now in review and should be done in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Or it could be, hey, we've completed this project, something to keep them in the loop, something to request something, whatever it may be. So you're going to have a lot of new automations. That's one is the custom email send to clients. Another one is, this isn't going to come in the next few weeks, but we want to build on this. Maybe you complete a task, it creates a project in our system. Maybe it sends an invoice. Maybe it triggers a zap and something to happen in another system. These are all things that we're thinking about with automation. So that's coming. And then another cool one, which we've seen a lot, is people want to be able to customize this email, the client task or request email. They want to customize it. That's going to be coming as well with that automation. So you could customize what this says exactly, not just the firm name, you can already do that, right? But like the actual email itself. So those are some of the things that are coming. There's a lot of other things we're going to be releasing this month and next month. This month and next month should be the months of a lot of big updates. So definitely keep a lookout. If you're not in the Facebook group already, go to LinkedIn. If you go to LinkedIn, I mean, if you go inside the app, you can see, our roadmap, all of our recent updates here. Be sure to stay in the loop on this because there's going to be a lot of things coming out here soon. So I've kind of covered everything that we released last month, some of the things we're going to be seeing this month. So be sure to join next month's webinar. You should have it on your account already. But before we end, I want to see if there's any questions. Feel free to drop it in the chat. Let's see. Just some love. Thank you. Thank you, Sydney. I appreciate it. We're just trying to do our best. I really want to say, like, I'm not an accountant, right? A lot of people on our team, we're not accountants. Everything we built is because of you guys. You guys give us some amazing feedback on how to make the product better. And we love to listen because, we wouldn't know what to build if it wasn't for you guys. So you guys have done an amazing job at helping guide the product. You are a part of this. And if you're not already, like, go to the roadmap, continue to vote on features, add new ideas, talk to our team, help us understand how to build the best product possible, because that's how we're going to do it, is through you guys. Rachel has a question about Canadian billing. Yes, we will have Canadian billing soon. Actually, within probably the next 2 weeks. If you want to get on that Canadian billing plan, you just need to reach out to our support team, and we can see if we can get you set up on that. We have create the ability to invoice and potentially lock documents. So this is Alex. Great question. Alex is asking, will we ever create the ability to invoice clients and lock documents behind a paywall? The answer is yes. So after we finish e-signature, file sharing, document management, this next quarter, right before the end of the year, we should finish all that. We're going to make sure we do it right. We want to build in some automations and make it very easy to use. Next year, we're going to be really focused on invoicing and payments. So we're going to build out, invoicing, as well as the ability to lock documents behind a paywall, recurring payments, and also just better reporting, because it's going to help you better track budgeted work, effective hourly rate, but also tighter integrations with QBO if you do choose to continue to build out of QBO, which isn't a problem. So that is coming. Yeah. Okay. So unless there's any other questions, I think we're good. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. This has been a great webinar, the first of many. So please join in every month as we continue to build momentum. This is just going to be a great place to keep you guys updated, but also for us to get feedback. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next month.